The plan for the video is to show you what happens at a destructive plate margin. So I've made a model using some plasticine and I'm going to go through it with you and add some labels onto the whiteboard. What I'd like you to do now is make a sketch of the model. Doesn't need to be super neat, it just needs to be a rough sketch of what I've done. So you might need to pause the video while you do this and then come back when you've done it to add the labels. So the first label I'm going to put on is the crust, and then the mantle. So the mantle is where rock is magma, so it's melted. The crust is where it's solid. Now in the previous lesson we talked about the different types of crust. We have here the continental, and here we have the oceanic. So the oceanic was the dense crust, the continental was the less dense. Now at a destructive plate margin, the plates are moving together towards each other. So this is our oceanic plate here, this is our continental plate, and they are moving towards each other. Now because the oceanic plate is a dense plate, what will happen is it will move underneath the continental plate. Now what this is called, there's a special name for it, it's called a subduction zone. So this area here, you can see where it's going underneath, that's called a subduction zone. I'm going to write it on here. Subduction zone. So that is the bit here where the oceanic plate goes underneath the continental plate. Now this zone here, I'm just going to put a little bit of yellow to show you. This is where there is a lot of friction. So lots of pressure builds up, and what we end up with is we end up with earthquakes. So at this plate margin we get earthquakes. In addition, we get these things here as well. We get volcano eruptions. Because this bit of plate goes underneath the earth and it starts to melt. We get magma under here. Some of this magma will push up through the plate and we'll get a volcanic eruption. So that's the basics of our destructive. We've got a destructive plate margin here where the two plates come together and we have an oceanic plate and a continental plate coming together with both volcano eruptions and earthquakes.